On my birthday, I had no idea what was in store for me. It all began like a typical day, filled with anticipation, excitement, and the usual birthday wishes and presents. My husband had been acting a little strange in the days leading up to my birthday, but I assumed he was just planning a nice surprise. I was used to his elaborate surprises, romantic dinners, exotic vacations, or just something thoughtful and intimate between the two of us. But this birthday was about to take a very unexpected turn, one that would change the way I saw my relationship forever. The day started off normally enough, with my husband wishing me a happy birthday first thing in the morning. He kissed me deeply, and I could sense there was something different in his energy, almost like he was holding back something thrilling. His eyes sparkled with mischief, but he didn't give away any details just yet. Throughout the day, he made small comments like, "I have something special planned for tonight, and you're going to love it." I smiled, thinking it might be a fancy dinner or a weekend getaway he booked as a surprise. When the evening finally came, I got ready feeling a bit more excited than usual. My husband had told me to dress up but didn't give me any specifics. I chose a simple yet sexy dress that hugged my curves perfectly, leaving just enough to the imagination. As I was finishing up, I heard the doorbell ring. I assumed it was a delivery or maybe a surprise gift arriving. But when I went to check, I was a little surprised to see my husband's best friend. Standing there, I had known his friend for years. He had always been part of our lives, but mostly in a platonic way. He was charming, funny, and easy to be around. But I had never considered him in any romantic sense. However, something was different tonight. He gave me a knowing smile as he entered the house, and my husband greeted him warmly. It was clear that this was part of the plan, though I still had no idea what that plan was. After some small talk, my husband took my hand and led me into the living room. Candles were lit, casting a soft glow over the room. There was music playing low and sensual. My heart started racing a little. I could feel the tension building in the air, but I wasn't sure what was happening yet. My husband's friend sat down on the couch watching us closely, and my husband pulled me close, whispering in my ear, "Are you ready for your surprise?" I nodded. My curiosity piqued. He kissed me passionately, his hands sliding down my back. And for a moment, I forgot that we weren't alone. I found myself strangely excited. I felt another presence. The idea of being with my husband and his best friend at the same time. When I glanced over, his friend was still sitting there watching us. Never imagined. A hint of a smile on his lips unfolding right in front of me. That I realized what was happening. My husband pulled me closer. My husband had never mentioned anything like this before. But somehow his friend slowly stood up and moved toward us. This wasn't just going to be an ordinary birthday surprise and desire. This was something far more intense in my chest. Something and I could feel the boundaries we had between all of us. But instead of feeling shocked or uncomfortable, my husband whispered in my ear again, "Do you trust me?" I nodded, unable to speak, my body already responding to the excitement coursing through me. He smiled and kissed me again, this time deeper, more urgent. His hands roamed my body, pulling me closer to him, but I could feel his friend's presence growing nearer. I could hear the sound of his breathing, the soft rustle of his clothes as he moved behind me. My mind raced, but I didn't stop him. I didn't stop either of them. As my husband's hands explored my body, I felt his friend's hands join in. The two of them worked in perfect sync, touching me, teasing me, pushing me further into a state of heated desire. My mind was spinning, caught between the thrill of this unexpected experience and the overwhelming sensations taking over my body. The three of us were lost in the moment, tangled in a web of passion and pleasure that I had never felt before. My husband's friend leaned in, his breath hot against my neck. I shivered, feeling his lips grazed my skin. My husband kissed me fiercely, his hands gripping my hips as his friend's hands roamed my back. It was an experience unlike anything I had ever imagined, and I found myself giving into it completely, letting the two of them take control, letting them show me what they had planned for my birthday. The night continued in a blur of heated moments, our bodies moving together in ways that I had never experienced before. It was wild, intense, and incredibly freeing. I felt like I was part of something much bigger than just a physical connection. There was a deep sense of trust between the three of us, an unspoken bond that allowed us to explore these new sensations together without fear or hesitation. As the night went on, I found myself growing more and more comfortable with the situation. My husband and his friends seemed to know exactly how to touch me, how to drive me to the edge of ecstasy and back again. It was as if they had planned this down to the last detail, knowing exactly what would push my limits and what would make the experience unforgettable. I had never felt more desired, more wanted than I did in that moment. The two of them worshipped my body, taking turns exploring every inch of me, pushing me to heights of pleasure I had never known existed. It was intense, raw, and absolutely intoxicating. I could feel their passion, their hunger, and it only fueled my own desire even more. By the time the night was over, I was completely spent lying between my husband and his friend, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and connection. It was a birthday surprise unlike any other, one that I would never forget. My husband kissed me softly, his hand resting on my hip, and his friend smiled at me, his eyes filled with warmth and affection. We didn't speak much after that. There was no need to. The night had been perfect, and we all knew it. As I lay there, my mind raced with thoughts of what had just happened. I never imagined that I would be involved in something like this. But now that it had happened, I couldn't imagine my life without it. It was thrilling, exciting, and completely unexpected. The next morning as I woke up, my husband was already up making breakfast. His friend had left early, leaving the two of us alone to reflect on the night. Before I smiled at my husband, feeling an overwhelming sense of love and appreciation for him. He had given me the most incredible birthday surprise, one that had pushed the boundaries of our relationship in the best possible way. As I sipped my coffee, my husband leaned over and kissed me softly. "Happy birthday," he whispered, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. I smiled back, knowing that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship. A chapter filled with trust, passion, and maybe a few more surprises along the way. It was a night that I would never forget, a birthday that had changed everything. And as I sat there reflecting on everything that had happened, I couldn't help but feel incredibly lucky to have a husband who knew me so well, who could surprise me in ways I never expected. As the days passed, I couldn't stop thinking about that night. It was like a secret memory, one that lived in the back of my mind, replaying itself whenever I had a quiet moment. My relationship with my husband had always been strong, but this experience had brought us even closer, creating a bond that felt unbreakable. We had shared something so intimate, so thrilling, and it left me craving more. Every time I looked at my husband, I could see the same thoughts playing in his eyes. There was an unspoken understanding between us, a sense that something had shifted, and we both liked it. He would smile at me with that mischievous glint, reminding me of what we had shared, and it would send a shiver down my spine. But there was also a question hanging in the air, one that neither of us had addressed yet. Was that night a one-time thing, or was it the beginning of something new? One evening, about a week after my birthday, we were sitting on the couch together, just relaxing after a long day. My husband was scrolling through his phone, and I was lost in thought when he suddenly looked up at me, his eyes sparkling with that familiar look of mischief. "I've been thinking," he started, his voice low and playful, "about your birthday surprise." I felt my heart skip a beat. I had been thinking about it too, of course, but hearing him bring it up made everything feel so much more real. "Yeah," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady, though my heart was racing. He shifted closer to me on the couch, his hands sliding up my thigh, in that way that always sent electricity through my body. "Did you enjoy it?" he asked, his voice a little more serious now, though there was still that teasing edge to his words. I nodded, biting my lip. "You know, I did," I answered, my voice barely a whisper. He smiled, that same mischievous grin that always made me weak in the knees. "Good," he said softly. leaning in to kiss me. His lips were warm and soft, and as he kissed me, I could feel all the emotions from that night come rushing back. The passion, the excitement, the thrill of something new and unexpected. When he pulled away, he looked into my eyes, searching for something. "Would you want to do it again?" He asked, his voice hushed as if you were sharing a secret. I felt my pulse quicken at the question. The idea of doing it again had crossed my mind more than once since my birthday, but I hadn't been sure how to bring it up. Now that he had, I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Maybe I said, my voice playful but serious at the same time. "Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" He grinned again, his hand squeezing my thigh just a little. "I might be," he teased, but there was a seriousness in his eyes that told me he was more than just playing around. "I've been talking to him," he said quietly. Referring to his friend, he enjoyed it too. A lot. I felt a flush of heat spread across my body at his words. The memory of his friend's hands on me, his lips on my skin, it all came rushing back in vivid detail. The thought of experiencing that again, of sharing something so intimate with both of them, sent a thrill through me. "What are you suggesting?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. My husband leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "I'm suggesting that maybe we don't have to stop at just one night." My breath caught in my throat at his words. The thought of making this a regular thing, of exploring this new side of our relationship, was both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. But as I looked into his eyes, I could see how much he wanted this, how much he wanted to share this experience with me again. And I realized that I wanted it too. "I think I'd like that," I whispered, my voice barely audible, but my meaning was clear. His smile widened and he kissed me again, this time with more urgency, more passion. I could feel the excitement building between us, the same electricity that had sparked that night on my birthday. And I knew in that moment that this was just the beginning of something new and thrilling in our relationship. A few days later, my husband came to me with another surprise. He had been talking to his friend again, and they had made plans for another night, just like the one we had shared on my birthday. This time, though, there was no birthday to celebrate, no special occasion. It was just us exploring this new dynamic, pushing the boundaries of our relationship in ways we never had before. The night arrived, and once again, I found myself filled with that same mix of anticipation and excitement. I dressed in something sexy, knowing that the night would be intense, that it would be something I would never forget. My husband and his friend arrived, and as soon as they walked through the door, I could feel the tension in the air. This time, there was no need for introductions, no awkward small talk. We all knew what was about to happen, and the excitement was palpable. My husband pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply, and his friend stood close by, watching us with that same hungry look in his eyes. The three of us moved together seamlessly, as if we had done this 100 times before. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just pure raw desire. The intensity of the night was even greater than it had been on my birthday, and I found myself completely lost in the moment, giving in to the pleasure, the thrill of being with both of them at the same time. Every touch, every kiss, every moment was electric, and by the time the night was over, I was completely spent, lying in a tangle of sheets and limbs, feeling more satisfied than I ever had before. My husband kissed me softly, his hand resting on my hip, and his friend smiled at me, his eyes filled with warmth and affection. This wasn't just a one-time thing anymore. It was something more, something that had become a part of our relationship. And as I lay there basking in the afterglow of the night, I realized that I was okay with that. More than okay, in fact. I was excited about what the future held, about the new experiences we would share together. If you've been enjoying my stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. There's so much more to come, and you won't want to miss a single moment. Trust me, the surprises are only just beginning.